The engineer who heard what others couldn't. The harsh blue glow of 17 monitoring screens cast strange shadows across Marcus Chen's weathered face as he leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired eyes. Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega-7 hummed quietly around him. Its massive arrays pointed toward the infinite darkness beyond Earth's solar system. For the past 6 years, Marcus had spent his nights listening to the universe's whispers, cataloging pulsars, tracking asteroid trajectories, and occasionally intercepting the odd signal from humanity's scattered colonies. Tonight felt different. The cosmic background radiation carried something unusual, a pattern so faint that the station's primary computers had dismissed it as random noise. But Marcus had learned to trust his instincts. Growing up on Mars' colony, he'd developed an ear for the subtle rhythms that most people missed. It had saved his life more than once during the mining accident that claimed his parents, when he'd heard the structural warnings in the tunnel walls that others had ignored. He pulled up the raw data from Sector 7 Alpha, a seemingly empty region of space roughly 47 light-years from Earth. The signal appeared intermittently, lasting only a few seconds at a time before fading back into the cosmic static. Standard protocol would be to log it as interference and move on, but something about the mathematical precision of the intervals caught his attention. Computer, isolate frequency band 2.1 to 2.3 GHz, Sector 7 Alpha, and run a pattern analysis, Marcus commanded, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The AI's synthesized voice responded immediately. Pattern analysis complete. Signal exhibits 87.3% randomness. Classification, natural phenomenon, or equipment malfunction. Marcus frowned. The computer was technically correct, but it was missing something crucial. He'd modified his personal workstation with additional processing power and more sensitive filters, upgrades that weren't exactly regulation, but had proven invaluable in his work. These modifications allowed him to detect patterns that the standard equipment might overlook. Run the same analysis using my enhanced filters, he instructed, switching to his modified system. The results were dramatically different. Where the standard analysis showed random noise, Marcus's enhanced system revealed a complex mathematical structure. The signal wasn't random at all. It was deliberately crafted, with embedded frequency modulations that suggested intelligence behind its creation. His heart rate quickened. In 6 years of deep space monitoring, he'd never encountered anything like this. The signal bore no resemblance to human technology, yet it clearly demonstrated sophisticated engineering principles. The implications were staggering. Marcus spent the next 3 hours analyzing every aspect of the transmission. The signal repeated every 4.7 hours with slight variations, as if someone was systematically adjusting the message. The frequency patterns seemed to follow mathematical principles that were familiar yet distinctly alien. Whoever was broadcasting this understood physics and engineering, but approached them from a completely different perspective than humanity. As dawn approached over the monitoring station, Marcus made a decision that would change everything. Instead of following protocol and reporting his findings to command, he decided to dig deeper. There was too much at stake to risk having the investigation shut down by bureaucratic red tape. He began by cross-referencing the signal's characteristics with every known form of human communication technology. The results confirmed his suspicions. This was definitely not of human origin. The signal's structure suggested a level of technological sophistication that humanity hadn't achieved, yet it was clearly attempting to communicate. Over the following weeks, Marcus worked obsessively to decode the transmission. He barely slept, surviving on coffee and determination as he developed new algorithms to analyze the alien patterns. His colleagues began to notice his exhaustion, but Marcus deflected their concerns with vague explanations about a complex research project. The breakthrough came on a Tuesday evening when Marcus realized he'd been approaching the problem from the wrong angle. Instead of trying to decode the signal as language, he began treating it as a mathematical equation. The alien intelligence was using mathematical relationships to convey meaning, building complex concepts from simple numerical foundations. The first word he decoded was unmistakable: help. Marcus stared at his screen in disbelief. The mathematical pattern clearly represented a plea for assistance, repeated with variations that suggested growing desperation. His hands trembled as he worked to decode more of the message, and what he discovered made his blood run cold. The beings calling themselves the Vialthara were facing extinction. Their home star was entering the final stages of its life cycle, showing signs of impending supernova. The radiation levels in their system were already climbing to lethal levels, and they had perhaps 2 years before their entire civilization would be wiped out. But that wasn't the most shocking part of the message. The Vialthara had detected humanity's radio emissions and had specifically chosen to reach out to Earth. They had studied human transmissions for decades, learning about human culture, technology, and most importantly, humanity's tendency to help others in crisis. The message continued with technical specifications and star charts, providing enough information for humanity to locate the Vialthara home system. They were asking for help with evacuation procedures, offering to share their advanced knowledge of space travel and energy manipulation in exchange for assistance in relocating their population. Marcus realized he was witnessing the most significant moment in human history, first contact with an alien civilization. But unlike the dramatic scenarios portrayed in movies and books, this first contact came in the form of a desperate plea for help from a dying species. He knew he should report his findings immediately, but experience had taught him to be cautious. Command would want to verify his work, establish committees, and run the discovery through layers of bureaucracy. By the time they finished their deliberations, it might be too late for the Vialthara. Instead, Marcus decided to take a different approach. He would need help from people he trusted, individuals who understood both the scientific implications and the moral imperative of the situation. His first call was to Dr. Sarah Rodriguez, a xenolinguist who had become a close friend during their graduate studies. "Marcus, do you have any idea what time it is?" Sarah's voice came through the communication link, tinged with sleepy irritation. "Sarah, I need you to come to Omega 7 immediately. I can't explain over the comm, but I've discovered something that changes everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe." The urgency in his voice must have convinced her, because Sarah agreed to make the trip from her research station on Luna. While he waited for her arrival, Marcus continued working to decode more of the Vialthara message, learning about their culture and technology. The Vialthara were an ancient species, having achieved interstellar travel thousands of years before humanity discovered fire. They were peaceful explorers and scientists spreading throughout their local region of the galaxy to study and preserve knowledge. Their technology was based on principles of harmonic resonance and energy manipulation that humanity was only beginning to understand. But for all their advanced knowledge, they faced the same fundamental limitation that constrained every civilization. They couldn't stop a star from dying. Their evacuation ships could only carry a fraction of their population, and they lacked the resources to build more vessels in time. That's where humanity came in. While humans might not have the Vialthara's advanced technology, they had something equally valuable: the industrial capacity to build massive evacuation fleets and the determination to attempt seemingly impossible rescue missions. When Sarah arrived at Omega 7, Marcus showed her everything he had discovered. Her expertise in xenolinguistics proved invaluable in refining the translation algorithms, and together they uncovered additional layers of meaning in the Vialthara message. "This is incredible, Marcus," Sarah said, her eyes wide with wonder as she reviewed the decoded transmissions. "They're not just asking for help with evacuation. They're offering to share technologies that could revolutionize human civilization: faster-than-light communication, zero-point energy extraction, medical techniques that could extend human lifespan by centuries." Marcus nodded grimly. "Which is exactly why Command will want to study this for years before taking any action. They'll want to verify every detail, run security assessments, and debate the political implications. Meanwhile, An entire civilization dies. The weight of responsibility pressed down on Marcus's shoulders. He held in his hands the key to saving billions of lives and potentially advancing human civilization by thousands of years. But he also knew that bureaucratic caution could doom the Vaelthara to extinction. As he stared at the latest transmission from the dying star system, Marcus made a decision that would define the rest of his life. He was going to respond to the Vaelthara distress call, with or without official authorization. Humanity's first contact with alien intelligence wouldn't be marked by committee meetings and political maneuvering. It would be marked by the same spirit of compassion and determination that had always defined humanity at its best. The universe was about to discover what humans were truly capable of when innocent lives hung in the balance. When humanity chose to answer the call, Marcus Chen stood before the massive communication array at Deep Space Monitoring Station Omega-7, his finger hovering over the transmission controls. In his other hand, he held a data pad containing humanity's first intentional message to an alien civilization. The weight of the moment pressed down on him like the gravity of a collapsing star. "Are you absolutely certain about this?" Dr. Sarah Rodriguez asked from her position at the linguistic analysis console. Her dark eyes reflected both excitement and apprehension as she reviewed their carefully crafted response one final time. Marcus nodded, though his mouth felt dry. The Vaelthara message indicated they have less than 18 months before their star goes supernova. If we wait for official channels, bureaucratic approval could take years. By then, we'll be responding to ghosts. Their small team had grown over the past week. Captain James Okafor, the station commander, had initially been skeptical of Marcus's discovery, but when presented with the decoded alien transmissions and their mathematical precision, his military training kicked in. The Nigerian officer understood the strategic implications of first contact, but more importantly, he understood the moral imperative of responding to a distress call. "Command is going to have our heads for this," Captain Okafor said, but there was no hesitation in his voice. "However, I've seen what happens when good people do nothing while others suffer. I won't let that happen on my watch, whether the victims are human or otherwise." Dr. Elena Vasquez, the station's chief physicist, had been the last to join their unofficial first contact team. Her expertise in stellar mechanics had been crucial in verifying the Vaelthara's claims about their dying star. The data was undeniable. Their home system was indeed facing imminent destruction. "Initiating transmission," Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the enormity of what they were attempting. The message they sent was carefully constructed to demonstrate humanity's peaceful intentions while showcasing their problem-solving capabilities. It contained mathematical proofs, scientific principles, and most importantly, a commitment to help with the Vaelthara evacuation crisis. Marcus had insisted on including something uniquely human in the transmission, a piece of music. Bach's Air on the G-string had been digitally encoded using the same mathematical principles the Vaelthara used for communication. It was a risk, but Marcus believed that art was universal, transcending species barriers in ways that pure logic never could. The response came faster than anyone expected. Within 6 hours, the communication array detected an incoming transmission on the same frequency band. The signal was stronger now, more focused, as if the aliens had redirected significant resources toward Earth once they realized someone was listening. "Decoding now," Sarah announced, her fingers flying over the linguistic analysis controls. The mathematical patterns were more complex this time, layered with emotional undertones that suggested profound relief and gratitude. As the translation algorithms work, the team gathered around Sarah's station in tense anticipation. The decoded message began appearing on the main screen, and what they read changed everything they thought they knew about humanity's place in the universe. "People of Earth," the translation began, "we are Zethara of the Vaelthara Collective. Your response has brought hope to billions who had resigned themselves to extinction. In 900 cycles of observation, we have studied many species across the galaxy. Never have we encountered a civilization that would offer aid to unknown beings without expectation of immediate reward. Marcus felt a surge of pride in his species. Humanity was being judged not by their technological achievements or military might, but by their compassion for strangers. The message continued with detailed information about the Vialthara crisis. Their star, designated Velteron in their language, was showing all the signs of an imminent Type II supernova. Solar radiation had already begun sterilizing their outer planets, and their homeworld would be uninhabitable within 14 months. But the most shocking revelation came in the message's technical specifications. The Vialthara possessed technology that could extend human capabilities exponentially, but they lacked the industrial infrastructure to implement large-scale evacuation procedures. Their civilization had focused on harmony with their environment rather than massive industrial development. "They're offering us a trade," Dr. Vasquez said, her voice filled with awe. "They'll share their advanced technologies in exchange for helping them build evacuation vessels, faster-than-light communication, zero-point energy systems, medical techniques that could revolutionize human health and longevity." Captain Okafor leaned forward, studying the technical data. "According to these specifications, we could build evacuation ships using modified versions of our existing colony vessels. The Vialthara technology would allow us to increase passenger capacity by 300% while reducing travel time to suitable colony worlds." Marcus was already working on the logistics. "We'd need to coordinate with every major shipyard in human space. This would require resources from Earth, Mars, the Jupiter stations, even the outer colony worlds. It's the biggest undertaking in human history." "Which is exactly why we need official support," Sarah pointed out. "There's no way we can organize an operation this massive without government backing from every human world." The team spent the next several hours crafting a comprehensive proposal for their respective governments. They included not only the alien communications, but also detailed technical analyses and projected timelines. The proposal outlined humanity's first interstellar rescue mission, an operation that would require unprecedented cooperation between all human factions. While they waited for responses from various government agencies, another transmission arrived from the Vialthara. This time, the message included detailed star charts showing the location of their home system, along with specifications for the evacuation vessels they needed. Zathara had also included something unexpected: personal messages from individual Vialthara citizens expressing gratitude to humanity. The translations revealed a species that valued art, philosophy, and scientific discovery above material wealth. They were dying scientists and poets, teachers and explorers, individuals whose loss would diminish the universe itself. One message particularly moved Marcus. It came from a young Vialthara named Morden, who had spent years studying human music broadcasts. The alien had attempted to compose something in the style of human classical music as a gift to their potential rescuers. "They understand us," Marcus said quietly as they listened to the haunting melody that somehow perfectly blended alien harmonics with familiar musical structures. "This isn't just about saving lives, it's about preserving a unique perspective on existence itself." The response from human governments was mixed, but ultimately positive. Earth's United Nations Emergency Council voted to authorize the rescue mission after heated debates about resource allocation and alien intentions. Mars Colony enthusiastically supported the operation, seeing it as an opportunity to expand human influence in the galaxy. Even the traditionally isolationist Outer Rim settlements agreed to contribute resources. Within weeks, the largest industrial mobilization in human history was underway. Shipyards that had been building colony vessels were retooled to construct evacuation ships using hybrid human Vialthara technology. The aliens provided detailed technical specifications through continuous communication with Marcus's team, who had become humanity's unofficial alien liaison office. The cultural exchange that emerged during the construction phase was remarkable. Human engineers learned to think in terms of harmonic resonance and energy flow, while the Vaelthara gained appreciation for human industrial efficiency and adaptability. Both species discovered that their different approaches to problem-solving created powerful synergies. As the first evacuation vessels neared completion, Zathara sent a message that would be remembered throughout human history. You have shown us that intelligence alone does not define a species' worth. Your capacity for compassion toward strangers proves that humanity deserves to inherit the stars. When our people are safe, we will stay, and beside you as equals and friends. The first rescue mission launched 18 months after Marcus had detected the original distress signal. A fleet of 30 hybrid evacuation vessels, each capable of carrying 50,000 Vaelthara refugees, began the journey to the dying star system. The lead ship carried not only human rescue crews, but also cultural ambassadors from both species, preparing for the first face-to-face meeting between humans and aliens. Marcus watched the launch from the observation deck of Omega-7, now designated as the primary communication hub for human-alien relations. Sarah stood beside him, her translation algorithms having evolved into a sophisticated universal communication protocol. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't been listening that night?" she asked. Marcus considered the question. "I think someone else would have heard them eventually. Maybe not in time to save all of them, but humans don't ignore distress calls. It's not in our nature." As the evacuation fleet disappeared into hyperspace, beginning humanity's first interstellar rescue mission, Marcus realized that this was only the beginning. The Vaelthara had mentioned other species in their galaxy, civilizations that might also need help or might be willing to offer it. Humanity had always dreamed of reaching for the stars. They had just discovered that the stars were reaching back, and that the universe was far more welcoming than they had ever imagined. The age of human isolation was ending, replaced by an era of cooperation and mutual aid that would define the next chapter of galactic civilization. The engineer who had heard what others couldn't had opened a door that would never close. And through that door, humanity stepped forward not as conquerors, but as friends.